Thank you, Madam President. I also rise in support of the amendment on the floor, and I'd like to build on the comments of Senator Hannan in terms of the impact on insurance consumers in New York State, the impact of this deficit reduction package without the amendment passing before us. You know, let's face it, one of the primary concerns of a family sitting around the kitchen table every night for dinner is the expenses in terms of how they are going to continue to afford health insurance for themselves and their families, or how are they ever going to get health insurance for themselves and their families. And at a time when both in Washington and in most other state capitals, legislators and governors are seeking innovative ways to make health care and health insurance coverage more affordable for small businesses, for families in those other jurisdictions. What are we doing here in New York with the first piece of legislation coming before the New York State Senate in the year 2009? We are not only protecting the status quo, we are making it worse by driving up health care taxes at a time when New Yorkers can least afford it. $240 million, a one-third increase in taxes on health insurance policies. One-third increase on taxes on health insurance policies. Businesses are already struggling to meet the soaring costs of health insurance and health care costs. And what are they going to do when this cost is potentially passed on to them? They're either going to pass that cost on to their employers who can ill afford it, or many small businesses in particular are going to have to make that tough decision to drop health insurance entirely for their employees. That's a dilemma that's being forced upon too many small businesses, too many families in New York State if this piece of legislation passes. This is a financial killer for small businesses and families in New York State who are struggling to afford health insurance for themselves and their families. It's a job killer also. By raising taxes on health insurance, this legislation would make it more costly to do business here in New York State at a time when we should be going the other way and backing costs out of doing business in New York. Let's attract business and new jobs to New York rather than driving it out through higher costs, through higher taxes, in this case, on their health insurance. It's the wrong way to go. What's it going to cost? I'll repeat what Senator Hannan said. This translates into an annual health insurance premium increase of $300 to $400 for downstate residents. That's not going to give them any new coverage. That's not going to do anything for them except drive up their costs, and potentially they'll lose their coverage. Upstate, it's $150 to $200 annual increase for upstate residents just because this bill may pass the New York State Senate this afternoon. And this bill doesn't just hurt health insurance consumers. This bill hurts insurance consumers of all types because of the increased assessments, now I'll call them taxes, on all insurers in New York State in terms of their assessments to fund the insurance department. In other words, this money should go to operate the insurance department. That was the original intent of these assessments. But this deficit reduction plan before us goes way beyond that. $177+ million of increased taxes on life insurance, on homeowners insurance, on auto insurance, through increased taxes on all forms of life and P&C taxes, not to fund the operation of the insurance department, but just to merely flow through the insurance department out for other purposes in the state budget. So, Madam President and my colleagues, please support this amendment. If you want to give a break to hard-pressed small businesses, hard-pressed families in New York State who are struggling to afford health insurance, struggling with their homeowners insurance premiums, and their auto insurance premiums to boot. You know, a yes vote for this deficit reduction plan is a no vote for insurance consumers in New York State. Because I will remind you, you are not taxing insurance companies with these new assessments and these new taxes. The insurance companies will not pay this bill. Insurance consumers and premium payers are going to pay this bill through higher premiums. That is the result if this deficit reduction plan passes today. My colleagues, there's got to be a better way to deal with our deficit than to hit these small businesses and these insurance consumers of our state. I support fully this amendment, and I urge its passage.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Barnes.